Venture capitalist John Doerr famously said that the key to success when you're running a business is setting the right goals. And of course, Doerr's right. Setting the right goals is a key to success, but in and of itself, it's not enough. There's so much more that you need to do. And in fact, if you don't do the steps that we're going to talk about in today's video, I can almost guarantee you that your company is going to fail. And that's what this video is all about, is making sure that you take the right steps that you need to do to make sure that your goals actually get achieved. That's what today's video is all about. If you're not already a subscriber to my YouTube channel, then hit the subscribe button in the bottom right and you'll get notified every time I send out a new video. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You and your team have just completed your yearly planning meeting. And you realize now, a year later, when you look back, that almost all the goals you set, you didn't even come close to achieving. Now, there's some fundamental reasons for this that we're going to get into in today's video. And that's what today's video is all about, is walking you through the steps so that this doesn't happen to you. And you're going to want to wait around for that last piece of advice that I give you at the end of today's video, because it's the key to the whole thing. So with that, let's get started. I've used the strategies that I'm going to teach today to build several greater than $100 million per year businesses. And I can't wait to teach you these strategies. Now, when we're setting goals, there's some steps that we need to take before we set the goals. That's the beginning. These are what I call the pre-steps to the goals. And there are two of them. Now, the first you could consider maybe the objective. Now, we're doing OKRs. That's the objective. And that's your vision. What's your big, hairy, audacious vision for the company? What is it? And this needs to be clear and concise and understandable for everybody in the company to follow. Everybody should know what your vision is. That's the easy piece, is the vision piece. That's the first piece of the process. Now, the harder piece, and I can almost guarantee you that if you don't get this piece right, this is kind of a little bit of a two-parter here, but if you don't get this piece right, your business is going to fail. This is critical. You need a great team and you need a great culture around the great team if you're going to succeed. You can have the greatest goals in the world. If you're thinking, hey, all I need to do is just go to this OKR system and it's going to solve all of my problems because John Doerr told me it would, forget it. It's not going to happen. If you have a mediocre team, you're going to get mediocre results. Period. End of story. That's just the way it works. Goals aren't going to help you. You're going to need to improve your team. So get your team right. Then beyond the team, you need a great culture for your team to succeed in. Culture is everything when we're building startups. We need a great culture around the team. We need a culture where people want to come into work, they're excited, they're motivated, and they never want to leave. That's a great culture. You want people to be collaborating with each other, to be passionate about what they're doing, working well together, and you don't want any brilliant jerks on your team either. That's my 1-minute synopsis of a great culture, but that's what you want. Those are the pre-steps. Get those right, and then we're primed for the next step in the process. The next step in our process is the goal-setting step in the process. Every employee, my belief is, in your company needs goals. Every single one. Everybody's got to have a goal. They all should have goals, and the goals should be in support of the vision. Now, who should be setting these goals? Should you set them? Should your managers set them? No. The employees should set their own goals. Now, you always have the right to reject the goals, but it's really important that you let the employees set the goals. Now, why is this? Because of buy-in. If your employees set their goals, they're going to be bought in. If you set them for them, it's going to be a dictation from you to your employees. That doesn't work. Your employees are going to look at it as, it's the boss telling me what to do. Now, there's some of that always happens. Don't get me wrong. But you're so much better off when you let your employees set their own goals. Again, it's just as I said, you can always say no, but go with that as the next step in the process. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit that like button. Now, what should our goals look like? The key to successful goal setting is they need to be specific and measurable. Now, I like to set my goals quarterly. Quarterly goal setting is really good. You want a yearly objective for the company. Where do you want to get to? All those types of things. You want your big vision of where you're going, but set a quarterly goal. Set a quarterly goal. Everybody's got their quarterly goals and they're all measurable. For example, for marketing, it might be we're going to generate X number of leads of Y dollars. For sales, it might be that we're going to close Z number of leads worth zeta dollars, whatever it might be. Those are measurable goals. You get the idea. If they're ambiguous, you're going to get ambiguous results and it's not going to move you where you want to go. So those are the pre-steps we've talked about. Set those goals right, make sure they're measurable, make sure they're easy for everybody to follow, make sure there's agreement, make sure your team's setting the goals. Now we've set ourselves up for success. Now here's where the rubber hits the road. The key to making all this work, and there are 3 parts to this, but the last part's going to be the most important. But let me start with the framework for what we need to do. Follow up, and more follow-up. It's not enough to set goals. You've got to follow up on the goals if you want them to be achieved. So now, how often should you follow up on goals, you and your team? Well, you say, okay, I've got quarterly goals. Maybe I follow up on them every month. It's not good enough. Month is too long a piece of time for you to get there. If you've lost a month, you're not going to meet your quarterly goals. I can pretty much guarantee it. So what's the right period of time? I believe it's weekly. Every week, you should be following up on the goals for your team. Every single week. Now, this doesn't mean you in a large organization or maybe even a 100-person organization or a 40-person organization are following up on every single goal yourself as the CEO. But you and your team are following up. The key is your team also follows up. Your team, let's say your marketing person's got to follow up on all the marketing goals, salesperson on the sales goals, engineering on the engineering goals, and you're working with everybody else to make sure these goals are achieved. That's part of your deal. That's part of what you do. And I believe a weekly cadence is the right framework to do this in. Follow up every week. That's enough time. You should know the sub goals that are happening to make sure you're on track. Everybody should be breaking things down into simplistic formulas so that it's easy to follow. Now for the whole key. The key to the whole thing. This is the most important part. This is what separates good organizations from great organizations. And you want to be a great organization. If you've got the right culture in place, now if you do this final step, you're there. And it's a real tough one. It's a real challenging one because all it takes is one slip up and you go right back to square one. But here it is. It's okay for people to ask for help. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But it's really hard in an organization because it's scary for people to ask for help. Their whole lives they've been told they shouldn't ask for help. And now you're saying, you know what? Ask me for help. It's okay to tell me you don't know how to do something. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm not sure of how I'm going to get this done. It's okay to tell me that I'm behind and I'm not going to get to my goal without some help. Those are all okay answers. That's fine. What's not okay, and this is what kills you, is the Hobson's choice. I'll explain what a Hobson's choice is in a second. A Hobson's choice essentially is no choice. It's after a fellow named Walter Hobson. He had a stable back in either 18th or 17th century England, I can't remember which one. And Hobson essentially gave you no choice if you wanted to essentially rent or buy a horse from him. Here's the horse, take it or leave it. That was Hobson's deal. It's the same thing when people wait too long. If people wait for your meeting, the status meeting to tell you what's happening, that's too long. Let's say your status meeting's on Thursday and somebody recognizes they've got a problem on Monday. You want them coming to you on Monday and saying, hey, I don't know how to solve this problem. What can you do? Can I get some help here? And then you can ask some questions. You can either decide to give them help or push them along on their own way. But at least you know, at least you're aware. This is what allows companies to stay on track, is the skill of getting people to feel okay with asking for help. If you can develop a culture where people feel okay asking for help, it is huge. This is what's going to allow your startup to really succeed and really fly and get to about 80% of all of your goals being achieved. 70 and 80% range if you've got stretch goals, which is what you should have. If you're doing that, that's how you get to startup success. So put all these things in place. Make sure the goals are measurable. Do the pre-steps, have a great team in place. And then if you can get your team asking for help and feel comfortable with asking for help from you or one of your lieutenants or somebody else inside of the company, that's how you achieve great success. Now I've got one more thing for you today. I have a free Startup CEO checklist available to you, 10 things that every startup CEO should know when they're starting their business. It's got a resource list in there as well. It's yours for free. All you have to do is just click the link below this video, either in the description or the comments, and it's yours. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Have a great, great day.